Hello everyone, I'm Malia Martinez from Los Angeles County. Thank you, Royer Studios. We hope that everything you learned this weekend will inspire you to go out into your community and make connections. You never know when a small act is going to change another person's life.
Man, my name is Vic. It's a pleasure to meet you.
All right.
Man, I'm actually a barber. I give out free haircuts. I just want to know if I could bless your sons.
Oh, this my nephew.
He be on TikTok.
You want to?
Yeah.
You want to, Jamal? Mm-hmm. So y'all be watching him? No doubt.
That's cool. I get your blessing?
Yeah.
Bet I can set my stuff up right here, man. We'll get it going. All right, what is your name and what do you want to be when you grow up?
My name is McCall. When I grow up, I want to be a fashion designer.
How old are you?
13.
13, already into fashion? That's not common for a lot of 13-year-olds. What are some of your goals?
My goals are to be successful in life, make money.
You think like the amount of money you make makes you successful?
Nah, you don't have to make a lot of money to be successful. Just have enough money to, feed yourself.
I think as long as you're happy doing what you're doing. You could get paid a lot of money to do something and be super unhappy. What you think?
That's crispy right there.
I appreciate that.
We need a lot of positivity in this crazy world these days. I'm saying the way so much going on, man.
Yeah.
Like, we need positivity.
Try to be that change you want to see. Instead of waiting for somebody else to do it, man, I wake up every day and try to put that effort in wherever I can, even if it's just a haircut.
That thing look clean. You about to be fresh Monday morning.
So,
If you could see something change in the world, what would you want?
Oh, man. There's too much going on.
We was in high school, we ain't had nobody young that was an image for us to look up to be like, man, I can do it a different way. So I chose to be that for my own generation. So I hope if you could see something change in the world, what would you see?
same thing as him, stop killing.
You stay focused on track, you stay focused on your sports, your fashion, you ain't gonna track nothing but success and positivity.
Oh, yeah, that's hard. Sir, man.
And you're all the way in there, bro.
Yeah, appreciate that, man.
Man, no problem, Brody. I appreciate you.
Thank you, bro.
All right, what is your name and what do you want to be when you grow up?
My name's Jamai, and I'm gonna be a pilot.
How long you been wanting to do that for?
Like 2 years.
You want your own plane or you want to fly for like Delta?
I'm gonna fly for like Delta.
What grade are you in?
7.
You like it?
It's alright.
What's your favorite part about 7th grade?
You get to like start learning cool things.
What do you not like about it?
A lot of homework.
I hate doing homework, but it's what you gotta do, so you gotta knock it out. You gotta be a smart pilot. I don't want no to find me around unless you got them books.
So do you cut famous people haircut?
I used to do a lot, not so much more now. Now I just try to cut on the streets and motivate somebody.
What made you stop?
Just being controlled by my time. Life ain't guaranteed out here, so I wanna make sure I wake up every day chasing what I love to do, and that's talking and inspiring people. So if all day I just let a celebrity pop by my time, I would never get to meet somebody like you.
I heard whenever I'm in the phone, I heard him say, hey, he was excited when he seen you. And you walking over at the same time.
So I'm glad I got to meet him, man. These good guys right here.
It's nice. I like it. Thank you.
Nah, no problem. I appreciate you. You in there clean now, man. I appreciate you trusting me, man. Thank you for that blessing.
Got tips, you know?
Nah, you good, man. I promise you, that was enough.
So I'm gonna tell you all a little bit about the person you just saw in that video, but he does a lot of amazing things, so I have some notes prepared so I don't forget anything. Victor Fontanez is a 23-year-old motivational speaker, entrepreneur, and barber from Fayetteville, North Carolina. Vic started cutting hair in his mother's garage his senior year of high school as a supposed side hustle. This side hustle quickly turned to passion. Then passion turned to purpose. Within 5 years, Vic has become the most famous barber in the world, has amassed more than 18 million social media followers, as well as become the leading motivational voice of the new generation. Vic has quickly rose to international success, aside from TikTok, by becoming the lead talent in Rockstar's Latinx Equity campaign this year that aired during the NBA Finals. Giving back to his community and leaving a legacy are two major pillars for Vic, which prompted him to launch Vic Blends Academy. The Vic Blends Academy is an online curriculum for the next generation of barbers. Thousands of inspired fans and students have already signed up. His passion for bettering the community only grew from there. Vic announced the launch of the first licensed barber schools in California prison history. This program will give prisoners the opportunity to obtain their barber's license while incarcerated with hopes of setting them up for success upon release. He also self-funds and hosts an annual give back to his hometown in Fayetteville that gives thousands of families supplies they need during the holidays. Last year, he received the key to his hometown from the mayor at the give back. He has done partnerships with major brands such as USAA, NFL, P&G, Rockstar, and Sony. every brand deal he does has to include some kind of impact. Everybody give it up for Vic Blends.
Yeah. How y'all doing?
Hey everyone, let's get it one more time for Vic Blends! Woo!
Man, thank you. Wow, there's a lot of y'all in here.
Thank you for being here with us today. We're so excited to have you spreading our message to all of us at the FNL Youth Summit this year. We're so excited to meet you.
Man, thank you. I'm grateful to be here. I learned about this program over the last couple of weeks. It's inspiring to know that there's so many youth leaders in here today. So I was told that this is the last day. So I want y'all to give yourselves a round of applause because you guys put in a lot of hours to dedicate to be here. Give yourselves the biggest round of applause, the biggest one. Y'all got to cheer yourselves up, man. So congratulations on everything y'all been doing over this weekend. I'm excited to be here and chop it up with y'all.
Thank you. All right, so we learned a little bit about you from Malia and also the Tuk Tuk we were looking at, but we want to hear from you too and just learn a little bit more about yourself. So do you mind telling us what's your story? What do you want to share with us?
Yeah, so my name is Victor Fontanez, also known as Vic Blends. And for me, I started cutting hair in my mom's garage when I was about 17 years old. The reason I picked up clippers is because I thought that I was gonna actually go to college and I wanted to find a hustle that would allow me to pay for whatever I wanted to while I was in school. I've always been a hustler. I got my first job when I was 15, washing dishes in a restaurant, and I've always been trying to get my own. My dad told me from a very early age, because I remember one day trying to take my girlfriend back in like middle school to the movies, and he was like, yo, you can't be asking your mom for money all the time to take your girl out. If you want to take your girl out, you got to go and get your own money. So from a young age, I took that literal, and I started trying to be a young entrepreneur. I go through many hustles, flipping shoes, working in the restaurant, whatever I could do to try to provide for myself at a young age. So my worry was always, how am I going to make money? So coming into my senior year, and I'm sure a lot of you guys could relate, I didn't have a clear vision of what school I was going to go to, what career path I was going to take. I saw all of my friends know that they were going to be doctors, they want to do this, and I was kind of feeling a little bit behind. I knew that I had a great hustle. I knew I was great with talking with people, and I didn't know where all of these talents were going to exactly live. So one day I sat in the barber shop, and I remember having a conversation with my barber, and I had asked him, what should I do to make money in college? And I was thinking he was going to tell me to do somebody's homework or cook in the dorms or do a multitude of different things, but he told me that if I learned how to cut hair, I could make money for the rest of my life. So when I heard rest of my life and money in the same sentence, I had to see what I could do. So that was the first thing that sparked my interest, but of course that hustle turned into a passion. For a lot of men and of course women, we've all gone to the salon, gone to the barbershop, and it's always been a safe place to speak about things like mental health, sports, anything that's going on in our communities. That feeling that I've always had as a kid growing up in the barbershop, I was now giving that to people in my mom's garage. And before you know it, it went from me cutting one person to two people to three, triple on this day. Now the whole garage is getting packed up. And it was just great times to be there and see my clientele kind of grow in high school. But by the time that I was going to graduate, I knew that I was growing this passion. I learned a little bit more about my industry, learned that being a barber could provide a good career for myself. I would be able to make enough money to have a living, and I'll be able to have an impact on somebody. In my senior year, I got a clear message from God telling me that if I took barbering serious, it would open doors for me. So against any influence that I had on the outside, against my parents telling me, you need to go to college, against school telling me you need to go to college and get a degree, I felt in my heart, I felt in my spirit that barbering was going to be able to open doors for me that I may never be able to see for myself. So I made the decision after graduation to go straight into trade school and go and get my barber's license. Now this is a traditional career path, right? A traditional job, but in an untraditional way. So as all my friends were going to college, I was choosing to go to a trade school. I was choosing to go and pursue a passion or something to do with my hands. In the beginning, of course, a lot of people are going to doubt you. A lot of people are going to have an influence on what you should be doing or where you should be going. but I had a clear vision for what it is that I wanted to achieve and accomplish in my life. So going to barber school, I put all the eggs in one basket. I betted all the chips on myself. I went in and got my barber's license, and from there it was on. You know, I was in a small town, Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I know we're in California, and a lot of y'all from California. Is anybody in here from North Carolina? No. All right, y'all got me by myself up here. So growing up in North Carolina, especially Fayetteville, it's a very small town, and I know some of you guys can relate. I'm sure not everybody in here is from LA or from a major city, but growing up in a small town, you got to find a way to first keep yourself occupied, safe, and to have good company around you. There's all these challenges that come with not having any really good outlets to try to pursue. So for me, you know, grinding in the grinding in the garage, grinding in the shop, I knew that I had to get out. I eventually reached the top of what I could achieve in Fayetteville. So I took a bet on myself, and I moved out to Atlanta, Georgia, with the hopes to grow clientele, to become the celebrity barber, to cut every rapper, athlete that I could possibly get my hands on. And that was a good goal that I had for myself. I came to Atlanta with an apartment sight unseen. I found the first apartment that I could get for less than $1,000. I signed up. I never even saw it. Somebody was in there, so I had to go sight unseen to this apartment, and I had no idea what I was getting into. My apartment was actually the terrace, and I thought terrace meant that I would have like a balcony, but I was actually in the basement, and I didn't have a single window. So I'm telling my parents, you know, I'm moving to Atlanta. I got this nice spot. I can't wait for y'all to come see me, and we pull up. We in the basement, but you know, humble beginnings, but more than anything, I was out of my hometown. I stood at my word and got out there and put myself in a big city to try to chase a dream. You know, so I ended up achieving everything that I set out for myself as I got to Atlanta. Coming into 2020, you know, we're approaching the pandemic, and there's one thing that I've built my whole life up to identify myself as, which is being this great barber, this super celebrity barber, charging hundreds of dollars for haircuts. It's my whole identity. It's everything that I was building for, everything that I believed in that I was going to be doing. And then all of a sudden, this pandemic comes. And now, this thing that I've been doing my whole life, I can no longer do. Somebody put a stop to it. So as I'm sitting at the house during the pandemic, there was a quote that came to me that absolutely changed my life. And that quote is, "Don't let what you're good at define who you are. Who are you if you can't do what you're good at?" So in that situation where, you know, I'm stuck at a house and I can't have clippers to me, or I can't cut anybody's hair, I got to really sit there and ask myself, who is Victor Fontanez if I can never pick clippers up again? And that was a tough question. You know, so everybody in here is eventually going to have a career. We're all going to have jobs, and we're all going to do things. But I know there's so much more inside of me that God has blessed me with. And I wasn't going to be limited to the one thing that people saw that I was good at. So I started using my voice during the pandemic to try to speak out about what I was going through personally. It was really a coping method for me that a lot of people started to feel and relate to. When we got out of the pandemic and I was able to go back and cut hair, I told myself I was not going to chase the next celebrity. I wasn't going to chase the next $100 haircut. I was going to do something that allowed me to feel fulfilled. Because as I had everything that I thought I wanted, you're still going to have an empty feeling if you're not doing something to fill your heart. There was no money out there in the world. There was no celebrity out there in the world that could allow me to be as fulfilled as I can when I'm cutting a stranger on the street. So instead of waiting for somebody to give myself a stage to speak on and give me an opportunity to use my voice, I hit the streets and started cutting strangers as a way to create my own platform to have conversations about things that I felt like mattered in our community. And, you know, I came to TikTok with that idea, and, you know, the rest feels like history to me. But, you know, I'm grateful to be here. That's a little bit of my story. Yet right now I'm 24 years old, so glad to be here and be young doing what I'm doing.
That's amazing. Let's give it up. We're so grateful to have you here. I think you are such an inspiration to all of us. We have a lot of high school students here who are at the age where we're beginning to realize our passions. We're beginning to pursue our dreams, just as you have done. And we're just so grateful to have you sharing your story with us. Now, throughout that, I heard you talked about your dad. You talked about a barber that inspired you. What does mentorship in that way kind of mean to you? How has that elevated you or inspired you throughout your life? Would you be able to share that with us?
Yeah, I've always had great mentors in my life. My dad first, being the first mentor, of course, that I had. I think you're always going to start looking up to your parents first thing in the house, first thing that you see. And my dad really made no excuses ever. I saw my dad, create something out of nothing in every situation that we've ever been given. So he never left me with an opportunity to make an excuse for whatever I was going through. My dad would make sure that we figured it out. I remember days he would make me mow the lawn. He used to make me mow the lawn almost every 3 days. There wouldn't be any grass out there. It wasn't even long, but he'd always give me a reason to get up and do something. So, my dad gave me a lot of my work ethic early on, but I was blessed to be grown up in a barbershop where I had a lot of older people around me at a young age. And, I think that was a blessing to me. I thought one of the things that was going to set me apart from kids that were my age and in my generation was that I was going to listen more than I was going to speak. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. So you got to talk less and you got to listen more sometimes. So I knew that having humility and having, the character to sit down and listen to somebody that's been there before me and not have an ego when someone was going to talk to me was going to set me apart. I'm young. I haven't experienced that much. So if somebody had some wisdom, if somebody had experience, I wanted to sit down and listen. So in the barbershop, there was 3 barbers that mentored me, Sean, Q, and G. These are the guys that gave me my first chance to pick up clippers. And one of the first things that put me in a position to care about my community was that they had a give back event that they did called Cut My City. So Cut My City was this event that it would give back free haircuts to kids going to school. Free haircut event for the community. They would provide backpacks, school supplies, whole 9 yards. And I was 3 months into cutting hair. First picked up the clippers. I probably did less than 100 haircuts by now. And I remember being so inspired by them. It was the first shop that was really connected to a community. And I remember asking them if I could be a part of Cut My City as a joke. And they were like, yo, we got you. And I was nervous because I thought they were going to say no. I thought I was joking when I asked. But they allowed me to be a part of this community event before I was actually ever good at cutting hair. And for me, I think that was them planting a seed to see the importance of what it is to be a community leader at a young age, to be able to use your passion to inspire others. And it wasn't really about cutting hair. It was about being there to support somebody with a small act of kindness, which at that time was a haircut. So, it wasn't about how crisp. I'm sure the haircuts that I was giving out was terrible, but the fact that I was able to have young kids in my chair, be able to speak to them and allow them to get some school supplies, that meant everything. So, I really credit those guys for starting my foundation at a young age about what it is to be a pillar in your community.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. Yeah, and our Friday Night Live program, I think we're surrounded by some amazing mentors. We have these advisors that have sacrificed so much to bring us here and given so much opportunities to us. So I think it's amazing how you saw mentorship play out in your role today. And kind of following along with that, when you're talking about giving those small acts of kindness, cutting people's hair, I'm sure you've met so many people in the past just couple years alone. Is there any story that has left an impact on you, and any story that really resonates you from someone that you've met maybe throughout this?
Yeah, I thought about this question a lot. And there's one person in specific that I remember cutting that gave me a quote, and it's instilled in my memory. I've cut in hundreds and hundreds of people on the streets. Some of the most inspiring interactions are obviously the kids. The kids of this generation are becoming way more intelligent. They're speaking about some adult conversations at a young age. But I remember this guy that I cut named Jasper, and he told me that God hides the best resources. And that there's a reason why you got to dig for diamonds and gold, and they're not laying on the surface. And for me, that quote always burned in my mind, because I think when you're meeting people, initially you just see what you see on the outside. It's natural. You could just see this. You could see what they're wearing. You could see the look on their faces. But I think the best resources that you could ever find with a person or figure out about them is going to be hidden down deep. So when you really want to build with somebody, when you really want to learn, it's going to take conversation. It's going to take time. It's going to take dedication to learning about that person. So for myself, I always thought that the highest fruit that you can achieve is going to be at the deepest depths of a person. So that was always sticking with me, is that, God will have the best resources. And if there's anything that you ever want, you got to dig sometimes to find them things.
Gotcha. Thank you. Let's give a round of applause for that. Yeah. Amazing. So, many of us are high school students here. Who's a high school student? Yeah, we have a lot of people. And you started, right, cutting hair back in high school. If you could go back in time and speak to your high school self, is there anything that you think you'd say, anything that you want to tell yourself?
Yeah, there definitely is. As I told you guys, I worked from a very young age. I was dedicated to the grind. There was nobody that I think could have worked harder than me. It was very important to me to grow that work ethic. But, I remember my dad telling me that I had the rest of my life to work. And a friend of mine told me this thing the other year, and he said to always make time for the selfie. And I didn't really know what that meant. I feel like, since I picked up clippers, it's been a race to the finish line. I've been sprinting for the last 7 years. And my dad would always remind me that you got the rest of your life to work. So as cool as it may sound for me to be up here to tell you guys to work as hard as you can, to sacrifice everything, go and chase your dream, you have to always make time for the selfie. And there's been so many great moments in my life, in my career, that have almost felt like a blur, because every time that I'm in a moment, I'm thinking about the next one. And if I could go back and be present a lot more in high school, I honestly wish I would have spent more time with my friends. I wish I would have spent more time maybe going to a party, maybe hanging out with my friends on the weekend or going to an amusement park, whatever it was. I wish if I could go back, I would tell myself to just take time to appreciate where you're at right now. Because life is always coming next. There's always going to be a next thing. There's always going to be another level for you to get to. But the most important time is the present time. And, there were days that, my family would go to the beach and I would wake up, the house would be empty. I call them like, where y'all at? They, we at the beach. I'm like, why didn't y'all tell me? They said, well, you always work, so we thought you had work today. So it's times like that where I know the most important things in this life are going to be the intangibles, the things that you can't touch or feel, the love that you'll experience on earth, the energy that you'll share with somebody. Those things matter so much more than any type of material, any type of thing that you could touch with your hands, or money that you could earn. Spending time with your family, spending time with your friends. I wish I could go back into high school and relive some of those moments.
For sure, for sure. Thank you. And I think we can all learn a lot from that, yeah. I know getting started in something, I'm sure life moves so fast when you started your career, catching up, and we all need to take that time, right, to take a break, to focus on ourselves. And I hope we all remember that throughout our careers, So kind of going on with that, when your career kind of first started going up, what was that moment like? What was not going viral, but catching your career up? How did that feel to you? Did it feel crazy, or was it just a slow process?
Man, I try not to use the word crazy as often, because I don't think life is honestly crazy. I think life is a result of your actions and your choices. So, even for you, you're up here on this stage. If I were to look at you on the stage and say, oh, that's crazy, Mia, you on the stage, but you don't want to make every sacrifice and every choice possible. Life is a reality of our choices. So when I think back to my career and being, I could drop a tear looking at this crowd right now. I was in a garage in Fayetteville, North Carolina, cutting in 90-degree, 100-degree weather, praying one day that somebody would be there to see me or listen to me or care about the things that I had to say. So, it's a surreal feeling. I'm not any different from you guys in this crowd right now. I put my pants on the same way y'all did today. We got the same air in this room. So when I would see my career happen, I just thank God. And I just stay grateful, because it's a surreal feeling. It's really hard to kind of put into words, but the first thing I was doing was just telling my story and trying to relate to somebody. I saw power in my age, and I always wanted to be a mirror image for what I wanted growing up. And to be that at a young age and to be able to have a voice on social media where I feel like there's so much negativity right now, it was very powerful. And, like I said, I could cry thinking about it, because it really do feel like a dream come true every time that I could think about it.
Gotcha. Thank you all. So you've met so many people throughout these past few years, I'm sure. And I'm also sure as a Gen Z, you've met a lot of Generation Z students, people, what are some things you've noticed about kind of our generation, what's up and coming, and how do you see that kind of impacting your message in the future?
Yeah, I think when I started working, when I started building a career, it was very entrepreneurial focused, and as I actually got connected to my community, I would see that in Gen Z specifically, as the generation I'm a part of, emotional awareness has been one of the biggest things. Mental health has been one of the biggest conversations in my chair that happen almost every time that I'm able to have an interaction. For myself, mental health has been my biggest battle. It's been something that has been prominent in my life that I've always had to address, especially recently. But that has been the biggest change that I've seen over the conversations that I've had, is that this generation cares more about the internal feelings than the external sometimes. And I really commend y'all for that. I think it's super powerful that we're able to have conversations like that are difficult at sometimes, but matter the most.
Thank you, thank you. Yes. I think mental health is definitely, as you said, so important that I think our generation is beginning to recognize, and I'm really glad that you're bringing awareness to this using your platform. And kind of going along with that, I know you use social media a lot. That's how you kind of spread your message, right? Do you have any tips on how we could use social media to spread our message throughout our communities, throughout our generation, and even past that?
Yeah, I would say, especially building on social media, impact doesn't have a number to it. There is no fail when you're there to inspire or when you're there to uplift somebody. Impact does not need 1 million people behind it. The ability to change the way that one person may see themselves or see the world in a positive way is more than enough. And building a community around what you're doing is important. And when I look at this room right here, this is community. And I think for myself, the reason why what I do online may work as much is because I try to empower the person in my chair. There's so many people that walk this earth every single day and may not have a single person ask them how they're feeling or how their day is going, or may not even give them a smile. And those small acts of kindness can go a long way, because everybody's battling something right now that you can't see from the outside in. So to empower the people that may be in this room, that may speak from Gen Z, like, I would give that advice as much as possible, is to try to just put it in the hands of the people that are experiencing it right now. So the fact that you're up here, the fact that you guys are community leaders yourself, for FNL, I would just continue to put the hands in the mics in the hands of the people that really want to represent for this generation, because those are things that I wish that I had early on, was just an opportunity to use my voice and to connect with others.
Gotcha. Thank you. Another round of applause, all. Let's keep this going. Your images, or your messages are really impacting, I think, all of us right now, seeing your success, but also seeing what you've learned throughout all of these years. And as we kind of pursue our passions, I know there's a lot of risks that many of us in this room are going to take, and also that you've taken. What are your kind of thoughts on risk and reward? What would you say to people who are really on that edge of taking that risk, taking that step forward, and throwing it all in?
I mean, man, the only way you're going to be able to swim is if you jump in the water. That's the truth about it, is that if there is a dream that cannot leave your mind, something that's on your heart that you can't rub off, and it's repeating and you dream about it every single day, there's going to be a time where you got to jump in to swim. I remember working in the restaurant, and I would give out my business cards to people that would come in to eat. So you would get, your receipt for your pizza with a little barber business card at the same time. And I remember one day having a conversation with my manager there, because I guess I was leaving food in the window too long, and I was messing up because I was talking to some barbers that went to the restaurant, and he had brought me to the back and told me that if I wanted to be a barber, I needed to be a barber outside of his restaurant. And at the time, I was cutting in my mom's garage, but I was also leaning on being this server because that was what was paying my bills. There was comfort in making sure that I had a check coming in every single day. There was comfort in knowing that I had a job and I had a schedule that was, I could rely on to be there for me. And I was at that cusp where, if I'm going to do this, I need to do it all the way. So I remember the day he told me that and brought me to the back, I told him to put my 2 weeks in right there. And if I would not have been pushed to that position and have not have felt that pressure and made a decision right there, I may have held on to the comfortability of being with a job that I don't like, or being in a situation that makes me feel like I'm okay at this time. Everybody says you got to be uncomfortable to grow, and that's a real situation. You got to put yourself in places that really test your character. and show you who you really are in those times. So coming to Atlanta, Georgia, of course, was my next big step. I'm so used to being where I grew up at. And the thing about it is, where you're at right now is always gonna be there. Your hometown never gonna change. But when you're comfortable, you're gonna kill your dreams. So I knew that if I came to Atlanta and it didn't work out, I could come right back to Fayetteville and be in the same spot that I've always been at. It was always gonna be there. But I would rather chase the curiosity of what could be for my life. I think if God gave you a vision, it's there for you to achieve. So I'd rather wake up and know for sure what could have been for my life than to sit back and try to think about if I could go back in time and do it again. But I'd rather live knowing, that it was out there for me to chase, and I did everything that I could.
Thank you. Everyone, let's take that risk. Yes. Thank you. I was thinking about sort of when I was learning about you, and I heard something really interesting that Malia mentioned earlier, that you started this program for different prisons across the country where you could give people new opportunities. Could you tell us a little kind of what that meant to you? What made you want to start that? What impact that you think it's made? I think it would really resonate with all.
Yeah, so I'm grateful to be able to work in the CDCR program out here in California, which is, the prisons out here. And for me, it wasn't a thing that I grew up thinking that I was going to be doing. When I prayed to have an impact, I didn't ask for it to look a certain way. I didn't say that, God, I want to use my gift, but I only want to use it in this area. So there's this guy named Scott Budnick that had ended up reaching out to me through a mutual friend that we had. And Scott Budnick is a movie producer. He produced The Hangover, Project X, all these funny comedy movies. And when somebody told me that he was going to reach out to me, my first thought is that I'm going to get casted for the next Hangover movie. I think this is my big break to the movie screen. So when he reached out to me, he said, my name is Scott Budnick, I'm producer of these movies and this, that, and the third, but I also work in the CDCR prison program, the prison system out here. And he was like, the guys on the inside share your videos and they're inspired by you. I would like for you to come out to California and take a visit with me. And this is something, of course, that has never crossed my mind. It's never been on, exactly clear in my future that I wanted to be doing. But when an opportunity comes to you that I think can only be God-given, I'm there to listen and take those things head on. So at this time, I'm also negotiating for a creative studio in Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm about to get my first building. I'm about to open this 4,000 square foot building in Atlanta to try to create this super entrepreneurial, creative program and space. And I get this message to come to California and go and visit the prisons. I take that visit with Scott, and at the same time, my real estate agent is negotiating the contract for me. I go inside of Lancaster Prison, and I spent 8 hours in there without my phone. And when I went in there, it was a life-changing moment for me to see people that, of course, have made mistakes in their life, but have done the internal work to change themselves as people. And everybody in here has made mistakes before, all of us, even myself included, done things that I'm not proud of. But it's not for me to judge that person. It's for me to forgive them for whatever they've gone through. So when we went in there, of course, it touched me as a person. And Scott told me that I have an opportunity to create real change. And then in the history of CDCR, there's never been a barber program for them to get their barber's license while incarcerated. So that was something that I felt like was put in my path. And I remember coming out of that prison that day and my real estate agent telling me, contract's ready to sign. But I felt it being pulled on my heart that I couldn't go in that direction and had to do it. I had to go and pursue what this would be for me. And of course, no expectation on it, not knowing what it's going to become. We started putting in the work, talking to the right people, and we were able to get approved for the first program, which is going to be at Valley State Prison, VSP, which I'm very proud to say that, we have in motion right now. And it's really empowering, honestly. I'm sitting here in an awe moment, but for me, it's always about being a tangible example in my community. And it's one thing for me to make videos, to be on social media, to be this larger-than-life image, but if I can't take the talents and the resources that I've been given in my life and bring them back to the people that may need them more than me, then I feel like I'm not making the biggest impact that I can. So that was the first time that I'm able to make a tangible example of what you could do and be able to give somebody resources and teach somebody how to fish for the rest of their lives. So I hope that the licenses that they achieve will just be able to change their community more and be able to take care of their families. But it meant everything to me, for real, being able to empower somebody like that.
That is just incredible. Thank you for making history for our state. Thank you. You're really showing us how we can take initiative in our own communities. We see something that needs change, we can make that change, even if it's never been done before. And as youth advocates in the Friday Night Live program, that message, that story just means so much to us. And now, as we sit all here today at Summit, I know many of us, we're gonna go back to our communities and we're gonna wanna do something. We're gonna wanna make change. So what message, as we close off, would you like to leave with all of our students here today, all of our youth?
Man, I just want y'all to know there's power in your voice. It doesn't matter what you're doing at this current moment. It doesn't matter about how you may feel about yourself. Know that your voice is powerful. Know that the conversations you guys are having are so important. The people that you guys are touching in your community, like I said, impact doesn't need a number to it. One conversation with somebody about something that may matter to them, allowing somebody to be seen, allowing somebody to be heard, goes a very long way. And I don't want you guys to let any outside voices, any outside influences take you away from believing in what you're doing or believing in your voice. If I were to listen to the people a long time ago to tell me that, the motivation that you're speaking, they don't want to hear it from you. The cusses you're doing ain't fire. They're not crispy enough. If I were to listen to the people telling me otherwise, that my purpose wasn't going to be big enough, then I would have been stuck right there where I started and would have been living in the reality of what other people saw for me. You guys are absolutely changing your communities. You guys are changing the world, and never let somebody dim your light. What you guys doing is important work, and I want y'all to just continue to do that. You guys are the future leaders of this world. You guys are going to change California, and I wanted to be here again to be an inspiration to this generation to say that dreams absolutely do come true. I started just like you guys, exactly in the same positions, but if you continue to manifest your dreams and make every sacrifice possible, I promise you anything is possible.
Wow, thank you so much. Let's give it up for Vic Blends.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate y'all. Yeah, I can.
All right.
So Vic is going to do the honor of answering some of your questions. We've got some microphones up here. We don't have time to take a lot, so please be patient as folks are passing mics around. Raise your hand if you've got a question.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're doing it? Can I get a free haircut?
If I had my clippers on me, I would cut you right now.
We're getting more and more people. All right, just wait for the people in the orange shirts to come to you. Do we have a question over there?
I see a lot of pointing.
Can we get that repeated? Sorry.
I think it's a little hard to hear.
I think we're getting some feedback.
Have you met any of your childhood influences?
Oh, wait, have I met my childhood influences? Yeah, I have, which is, again, a very surreal feeling. But one of my biggest hometown heroes is, of course, J. Cole. So yeah, it took a couple years to meet him, but I remember All-Star Weekend in Charlotte. There was this Dreamville Day party, and I was cutting one of Cole's friends' His sister used to come to the barbershop and tell me, you know, her brother J. Cole best friend. And, you know, when you grow up in Fayetteville, you hear that often. Everybody knows J. Cole, but he actually was J. Cole's best friend. And I went to go cut his hair in Charlotte for All-Star Weekend, and they had a day party. So it was this like party at the top of this hotel, and he had got me into this party. You know, I'm super nervous to go meet Cole for the first time, and I'm trying to get my whole elevator pitch to him. My whole spill is getting ready. I'm ready to tell him who I am, what I'm going to do, where I come from. And, you know, I go into this section to meet Cole, and I tell him, you know, my name is Victor Fontanez. I'm an entrepreneur from Fayetteville. I do this and that, and you're going to hear about me one day. I said, you did it for music. Dennis did it for basketball, but I'm going to do it as an entrepreneur. And I was thinking at that moment, Cole was just going to co-sign me and just put me on. But I remember him just looking at me and be like, man, that's what's up. Just keep grinding. And I was like, that's it? And he was like, yeah, just keep grinding. And I'm like, damn, that did not go the way that I thought it was going to go. So, of course, I'm like, all right, I got to grind a little harder. So then next year comes, All-Star Weekend in Chicago. I'm back out there working. I go to this restaurant, and I'm in this steakhouse, and it's exactly a year later from the day that I met him. I'm in this steakhouse, and by this time, I've made some progress online. I'm starting to leave a digital footprint. I'm connecting with more people in the city and around, and I'm sitting in this steakhouse, and I start to see the Dreamville artists come in, like all the other rappers. I'm like, damn, it's a Dreamville party going on right now. You know, it'd be crazy if Cole came, and they're all sitting at this table right behind me. And before you know it, J. Cole walk in again, exactly a year later. But this time, I'm like, I ain't gonna say nothing. He need to know who I am. And he walks in and walks right past me. Again, I'm like, okay, clearly I ain't working hard enough yet. So a year later from that now, it's third year, trying to make my impression on him. I remember he came on tour for his last album, the off season, and I remember getting, you know, by this time I'm cutting a couple of the Dreamville artists, and you know, it's happening, and he comes to Atlanta for his tour, and one of his best friend, the same best friend that brought me in the section, had asked me if I could cut J. Cole for the tour, and I was like, oh, wow, this is it, it's about to happen. I went through 3 years of trying to catch up with this dude, but again, I was waiting until he would know me, and I pull up to this concert, and I wait in the backstage of the concert the whole night for hours until like 2 a.m., and I guess he got too busy. I missed him again. So I'm like, man, I'm chasing like childhood idol, man, and you know, someone I looked up to. But later on that year, or actually a couple months from that, I get a DM from him super late night on Instagram, and he told me that he was sorry for missing me at the concert, but we'll get up one day. So now I'm like, all right, now he know me. Now I'm getting close. So then, of course, I've always been a risk taker. I've always, you know, put in a little bit of extra work to try to get somewhere. And he was filming this video in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I was in Atlanta. And my friend was directing the video and told me that, you know, Cole was going to be there at this video shoot. And I was the barber for the other artist that was there. I don't know, do y'all listen to J. Cole? So he got that song with Benny the Butcher. And I drove overnight to go to this show, or to this video shoot, and I drove 7 hours straight overnight from Atlanta. The second I got the call, it was the next day, but I had to go do it because I knew this was going to be the moment that he knows me, he'll see me. And man, I pull up to this video shoot. I wait all day for him to show up. He sees me, and the first thing he says to me is, Fayetteville effing legend. And it was the most full circle moment I ever had in my life, meeting my childhood idol. But this time he recognized me and gave me my salute. And you know, it's been grateful to have a mentor like that in my life now. But yeah, super, super special moment.
Oh my goodness. And now I'm sure you're the idol of so many people. It's crazy. Yeah. All right, do we have?
I have a question. Over here.
Where you at? Okay, bet, I see you.
I have 2 questions, my bad.
You good, I got you.
What was the hardest thing you had to go through as a kid?
to reach to your goal?
Man, as a kid, I guess it would be trusting my intuition in my path versus the outside influence that I was having. It was hard to imagine being 17 years old that what you were gonna do was gonna work out. You know, we all have great ambition for what we wanted, but man, I had to bet on myself more than anything. You know, I can't tell you how many times, you know, I've had conversation with my parents because at first they were not in support of their kid being a barber. You know, my dad told me many times that I may not make enough money to have a family, that I'm gonna work and work and work and be working for the rest of my life. I won't have a retirement, I won't have any benefits. I remember going to school, my first tattoo was this clipper on my arm, and I remember going to school and the athletic director there telling me that I would never get a job for the tattoos that I may have on my body. So all of these influences telling me that school would be the only route for success. To trust my intuition at a young age was some of the most pressure I've ever felt. But I'm grateful that I did it because ultimately it ended up working out the exact way that I visualized it. But the hardest thing is just trusting your gut. Honestly, man, it's a lot of scary moments that I had, not knowing if it was gonna work out or not, but having to double down on my dream was tough. But in my adult life, you know, I battled with depression. I battled with mental health. So all the pressure that I felt chasing this moment and chasing being here today, you know, I've had to really deal with my own mental battles over the last couple of years, and those have been the hardest things now, me versus me in this moment.
Thank you. And can I get a group picture with you?
I got you, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's all good, yeah.
All right. Everyone, we're going to close our questions off now, but let's give a big round of applause for Vic Blends.
And thank y'all so much.
Thank you so much for being here today. Your presence means the world to us.
All right, hold on, I need to take time for the selfie. All right. Y'all say hi.
Ocean prime with the Caesar salad, but the dress in Italian. Had to break out the wheel scales, took a day to count it. Plugged out the same time. From the Virgin to the Cayman Islands. It's yacht life at its best. Some flip-flops and my nautical sweats. Got your bitch on her knees, swabbing the deck. Oyster Pipette, flood the yacht with baguettes. Submariner or the sea dweller. This is not a protect pack. Got sent from overseas with a postcard drowning in sin.
All right,
Life's
y'all.
a beast, need a coast guard. Great Lakes to the coast. Activate the alarm. Now we docking the boat. Big rope with the Anchortron. Sipping straight Patron. 3,000
All right, let's have a seat. Thank you, Vic. We are going to have plenty of time to hang out with Vic. He's agreed to do a meet and greet. So thank you, Vic, for doing that. But in order to make that happen, I need everyone to have a seat. All right, I need everyone to have a seat. I promise you're going to have plenty of time to take pictures. I promise. I promise. I promise. Yep. It'll be an even better photo. Trust me. All right. On your tables, you have an evaluation form. We need everyone to fill that out. The only way we are able to make these conferences better is to hear from all of you. All right? So please take a minute to fill that out. That will be your ticket to meet and greet Vic. All right?